Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I am one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts.
Much like to George.
And Harrison, the Adeptus Historical.
We continue our coverage of the Age of Madness trilogy with A Little Hatred, and we cover Fencing with Father, Promises, and A Blow for the Common Man. So, let's get started. As usual, folks, you know goddamn well by now. We just have to thank you, loyal listeners. Georgie, hit him with the stats for last week.
Oh yeah, fucking shit tons last week. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the best week ever, except maybe launch week.
Best week ever, you say?
Maybe. I can't see the week by week stats going back through 3 years, but I don't think I've seen that many in a week.
Well, you know what? We love to hear that. And we love to see your love. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
I love seeing people listening to the first few episodes.
Yeah.
Halfway through, and it's good. People are still catching up.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you get here, thank you.
You know who you are. Those who are starting on episode 4 on April 19th, 2026. When you get to this episode, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We love you. Thank you. We're going to just dive right into it with our first chapter read-through, which is Fencing with Father. As you know, this is the second one, back-to-back. And this one is from the perspective of Savine. And we start off with the classic Jeb Savine.
I just want to say as well, obviously, this is the second Fencing with Father, and I do like the fact it's always, when this happens, it's always also in Savine. It's almost like they're related somehow, you know?
Somehow.
Shut the fuck up.
Somehow. Yep.
It's funny, though. Good.
That's hilarious. So, basically, Glocta is overseeing Savine's fencing session, and Savine's fencing partner is none other than the King's Own, Bremerdan Gorst.
I can't believe they nerfed him. They think that Savine can take him on. Oh my god. Gorst is literally the GOAT.
So, basically, Glocta is giving her pointers in terms of fencing, and meanwhile, Savine's asking him questions about what's going on in the north and things like that. And he goes, he talks about how since the death of her father, he thinks that Finrey Dan Brock is the Union's most competent general, which is funny, right?
Yeah, and then she makes a remark that she's like, "Ooh, Finrey Dan Brock versus Monza Mercado," because Glocta had mentioned trying to put her in charge of the army in Styria.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, that would have been better." Like he's like genuinely annoyed.
Yeah. And I do like how, Glocta's talking about that. He's like, "Oh, Bremer, you know her, right?" He's like, "A little, Your Eminence."
A little.
Yeah, so they're kind of just talking about the politics of the current time, right? Harrison, if you want to dive in here.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of are covering the same stuff that Giselle and Orso covered, except less so on the overall thing. They're a little bit more specific on why things are happening and all of that. They are talking about how they can't really do much about the north. Like they're just gonna have to hope that she can hold out. And maybe sometime during the spring they can come in and save the day. But Glocta seems pretty worn out about this. It seems like you get the vibe that he had, he's already ran through all the options, and he's just recalling what he's already tried to figure out. And when Savine asks him questions, I do like too how he's constantly critiquing her fighting. Whether this whole scene is happening, whereas with Giselle and Orso, how they're just going back and forth. It's not about the technique really. It's just about them being together. Whereas Glocta's trying to do the technique, but I feel like the meanings between the opposite characters are switched. I don't know. It's interesting. They're all trying to spend time with each other, but they all are handling it differently. Well, also
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah, he's trying. It seems like Glocta is really trying to prepare Savine as much as he can for, I don't know, trouble times. You know, isn't that the trouble with peace, right? That there are trouble times.
I
Somebody
don't know if that's what it is. I mean,
Uh,
she mentions how
I
in this
completely
scene
went
too in
over
a
both
flash.
your heads. Okay,
She does. Oh, I got it. I just
you just ignored it. I appreciate that. Thank you.
she does mention in her head how like the I don't think it's like a oh do this to protect to protect yourself. I think it's much more of a we do this for fun, and then as time went on, it turned to something a little bit more because she went to the matches when she was young and she wanted to be a fencer, and she got tired of the idea. She thought about how none of the men would want her to win and how it would be kind of annoying. So she decided not to go the route of becoming a famous fencer. Um, but she obviously does this to spend time with Glocta. I mean, that's really why she's doing it.
I like that what you said there, Harrison, with Savine. We can really get the idea that Savine is one of these people that you can't tell her that she can't do something, because then she will definitely do it.
Yes, exactly right. You can't be a fencer. You're a girl. Well, I'll become the greatest fencer there ever was. But then she got annoyed by it. So she's like, eh.
Yeah. Yeah, and we do see Glocta's affection for her, where he's like, "Oh, maybe we can adjust your grip a little bit," and he's gonna try to like get up, and he's struggling obviously with the cane, and she's like, "No, no, no, not for me. Don't do that." And
Which is
she asks,
very sweet. Probably
yeah,
this. It's by far the sweetest moment she's had so far by
yeah,
a long margin.
yeah, by a long shot. And she asks him like, "How is he?" He goes, "Oh, have you noticed the nation falling?" And he talks about how he's hated everywhere, closed council, open council, just everywhere. And then she goes, "Not here." I was like, "Oh my god, that's nice." It's more than enough for him, he says. And then she says something along the lines of like, "Oh, a few enemies are, that's the price of being in one of the big chairs."
Yeah.
And he kind of goes on a little bit of a tangent where he talks about how do you really think the closed council really rule, or the king or queen? They're all no more than puppets. And then Savine goes, "Well, then who pulls the strings?" And he goes, "You know what? Don't worry about that. Let's work on your defense."
He's like, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
You reached the end of that dialogue tree.
I like how though, it's interesting because Glock is giving like more direct hints. Like, or let me put it like this: there's this duality between Giselle and Glocta that was very similar to the way it was inside the original trilogy, which is Giselle has good intentions but is very emotional, and Glocta is very obviously very power hungry, but he also comes at everything from a very calculated, logical approach. And they're even talking to the children the same way. Giselle is talking about the weight of the crown and how basically how Bias is in charge without ever actually saying it at all, because it's all from his emotional perspective of being like, yeah, it kind of sucks, man, I wish there's something I could do. Well, you just gotta try to tough through it. Whereas Glock is like, this is how it works, like more direct. It's I think it's a good thorough through from the original series.
Hmm. And then, yeah, and we see how Savine's kind of like trying to get information out of Glocta in terms of like, "Oh, what's going on in England? Like, what would you say the financial situation is like over there?" And he's like, "You're gonna try to, buy up some properties or holdings or what have you that are probably selling for incredibly cheap because obviously the war over there." She goes, "Yeah, maybe I'll just borrowing a little bit just to expand, in the mines up there." And she hears that there are excellent rates from Valent and Bulk, and he immediately is like, "No, no, no."
Bulk of vermin, parasites, leeches.
Yeah, he's like, "Promise me you'll never take a bit from the bastard." She's like, "Jesus, all right, I'm sorry. I'll stay away."
You're like, take it easy, Dad.
It's I'm gonna say as well, it's great after all this time to hear Glockter again in the voice of Stephen Pacey, obviously.
Yes,
And I think
totally.
it's that line that gets you, like, yeah, he's back.
Even that first line too, like the very first line, jab jab. It sounds. He really does this. He does, Giselle. He changes the voice because he was a younger man and all that stuff. But
Mhm.
Glock's voice is exactly the same, and it's like You're right, George. It feels like you're coming home.
Oh, that's funny. And during this, obviously Gorst and her practicing, and Gorst is just, I guess you could say he's taking it easy on her. She's like, "Come at me like you mean it. Like, do you hit like a woman as well as talk like one?" And then Gorst, his eye twitched a little bit, and then she goes, "I want to know how it feels like to be attacked by a dangerous man who means it. Otherwise, what's the point?" And then Gorst looks at Glocta, and then Glocta,
He's like, "Are you serious?"
and then Glocta goes, "Hmm, she is here to learn. Teacher." And apparently there was a hardness
Oh,
on his face she was not
yeah.
used to seeing.
J- Jeff, that whenever he says, she has to learn, there's Pacey says a pause. He's like, teacher. Like, it's very intimidating. And she's like, oh, fuck. She immediately, she feels the air change. Gorse, shifts his legs and is like, I'm going to kill you now. And she's like, oh my God, I'm about to die. She has, almost a full-blown anxiety attack from just the mood shifting. Her father being like, all right, the guardrails are off, honey. That's what you want. Go for it.
Yeah, I like where it's it's written that it is easy to smile at the bull you know is chained when you realize all of a sudden the chain is off and its horns towards you and its hoof scraping at the dusk. The bull looks an entirely different animal. And then she half opened her mouth to say wait, but she couldn't even get to say it because Glocta goes begin, and then Gorse was on her like shit, like was it flies on shit or whatever. So she goes, "Oh, she had been ready for his strength. It was his speed that shocked her." And then, a couple sentences later, she goes, "She was not ready for his strength." Basically, he just beat the shit out of her and tossed her in the air.
Where he he comes at her with his short and long steel, and she is able to block them, but barely. But that's not even what he was going for. He was clearly setting her up to open her up so he could just drop kick her across the courtyard. No, sorry, he hits her with his shoulder. My bad. He parries her just so he could get in close and shove her with his shoulder, and she flies through the air and hits her back on the wall, and knocks her head against the wall like a superhero like Captain America push.
Seriously, and I like how Gorse squats in front of her. And he goes, "I should warn you, I was still holding back." And she's
I
like,
should warn you, I was still holding back.
she's like,
Yes, Gorse is still a
"Hey."
fucking monster.
Well, no, I mean, here he's just holding back. He's not a monster. If he
No, I
wasn't,
mean it's a monster as in he's
Monster
fucking
of war.
unstoppable.
oh, right.
He's a
And she
monster.
goes, and then she looks at her father, and there's no trace of guilt on her father's face because constant pain cured him of that. And he says to her, "Fencing is one thing, actual violence is quite another. Few of us are made for it. It is healthy to be disabused of our self-deceptions every now and then, even if it hurts." And then I like this notion from Savine's perspective. She goes, "Sometimes it's hard for her to understand him because most of the time she was the one thing he loved in a world that he despised. Then every now and then he treats her like a rival to be crushed."
That's the most Glocked shit ever. It's he's like, I'm so proud of my daughter, and the Sabine's like, I'm proud of me too, and he's like, careful.
Yeah. And then I like how Gorse he helps her up and he's like, "If you are attacked by a dangerous man who means it," because I'm not gonna do the Marge Simpson voice. I'm just not gonna do it. My advice is to run away. I expect he will destroy himself before too long. And
That's a great line, by the way.
yeah,
If there's a dangerous man trying to kill you, I suggest you run away. It won't be too long before he,
destroys. Yeah.
destroys himself. Really?
And then she goes, "Thank you, Colonel Gorst. Useful lesson." And then she goes, "Same time next week." And then apparently at this, Glocta laughs and he slaps his chair. He's like, "That's my girl." And then that's the end of the chapter right there. Boys, how do you rate it? Do you want to go into anything else that we might have glossed over?
Yeah, I like how Glockta, you could the dynamic of their relationship is very interesting to see how obviously they care for each other very deeply and they love each other, but these are not good people. Them and Artie are that's it. That's the only exceptions they have in their mind for being kind or not cutthroat. And even then, Galacta still is that way with her because he's just built different, I guess. And he doesn't he'd rather Savine be prepared for the worst. So like in a lot of ways, he's a lot better of a father than like Giselle is in that aspect of being like making sure she's prepared and pushing her, but also he becomes very cold and very not father like when he does that.
Yeah. So what would you give it?
I think I'm gonna give it the same rating as I gave the other one, which was an 8 out of 9.
Oh, you gave the other one an 8 out of 9. I don't remember.
Did I give it? Was it a 7 or an 8?
I don't remember. George, you
I think
edited.
it
Do you
was
remember?
7.
Okay.
It was 7. A 7
Yeah.
out of 9. I feel the same way as I did about the other chapter. It just didn't work. It's basically, I think it's really, really well done. Again, it sets up her arc for part of this book. You know, she's having this whole idea that she knows everything that's going on, and she starts messing with other things after people warn her not to, and she fucking gets kicked in the teeth for it pretty bad, and it traumatizes her as she was kind of felt here, and it's perfect foreshadowing. It's great to see Glockta back. Actually, I'm gonna give this a 7 and a knuckle because I do think it's actually slightly better than the other one, just a little bit.
Okay. George?
I reckon I'm going to give it a 7 as well. It's like you said, Harrison. It's great to see Glockta back. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think I was a little bit hard on Savine last week, but I do think you can actually see like where she gets her,
Where she gets it from.
Where she gets it from. Yeah, exactly. The ruthlessness is just to be expected, I suppose. But yeah, I reckon it's 7.
I want to give it a half a point higher than I gave the Fencing with Father chapter last week. I can't remember what it was. So whatever it was, if it was a 7, then 7 and a knuckle. If it was a 7 and a knuckle last week, then it's an 8. I can't remember. We were just, ladies and gentlemen, we were supposed to do the Fencing with Father chapters back to back, but we ran long, so that's what happened. What I do like about this is like, yes, we see Glockta, return for the first time in actuality, like, oh, here he is, our boy, and he's in a chair he can't get up from. Oh, my boy. We see George, to your point about foreshadowing and her kind of being brought low or like brought down to earth. That's going to happen more than once. That this is exactly like we just said, foreshadowing, because this ain't going to be the last time Savine gets tossed in the air, literally or metaphorically. So I think this is like you said, good setup, good good introduction to just kind of like the troubles of the book at this time of the story. And I do like how obviously the parallels here, right? If we look at the previous Fencing with Father chapter, we look at Orso talking with his dad, and Orso wants to be of use to do something to rectify the situation of the North, whereas here we see Savine talking to her dad about how she can take advantage of the situation in the North.
Well,
so I like the parallels there. It's like you said, George, it's almost as like they're related or something. I don't know.
It's almost like there were two people who were related, who were raised by people who were almost the exact opposites while also being the same. It's crazy.
It's
so many layers.
It's like they share a common gene or something. I don't know.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear is right. So we'll move on to our next segment, which is briefly, it's going to be our community interaction segment. Again, we remind you, we call on thee to sign up for the Memeing Every Chapter Little Hatred version soiree in the House of the Meme Maker subreddit, hosted by Sir Spaceman. Get in there, sign the fuck up, and hit us with some memes. God damn it, please. We need them. We love them, but we need them. If you don't, then we shall pull out.
There's no content to talk about then, if nobody posts.
We need more, because we had some good memes this week that George will talk about later. But George, as the art collector, what will you do if not enough people sign up?
I don't know, nothing probably.
Not what I want to hear from the art collector or the musician, but okay.
Oh, I can't be a hypocrite. I can't post anything because I got banned from Reddit again. So
Well, we don't worry about that, man. Jesus. Flex your institutional authority, please. God.
The art collector can
I'll
never
start
again.
making threats on the double.
There we go. That's what I like to
On
see.
the ball.
Put propaganda flyers out there. Do the whole thing, the whole spiel. All right. So we'll move on to our second chapter read through, which is promises, and this is our boy. Well, I don't know about our boy, but Gunnar Broad. Him and Liddy and May have made it to Valbeck. With post haste, I might add, considering Broad committed multiple felonies the last time we saw him.
Multiple felonies.
That's one way to put it. Yeah, there's one way to put it. I feel like there might have been some significant period of time between this chapter and Broad's last chapter. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, it has to have been because if they travel to Valbeck and they've already found a cellar in Draw Street or whatever the fuck it was,
Yeah. I
and
actually
they're looking
think
for work,
that
it's a few weeks, right? At least a few
Yeah.
weeks.
I would say I agree. I think it's a few weeks, but I will say as well, like the overall timeline for this particular book is just like the Blade itself takes longer, is a longer period of time than the other two books. Oh, a little bit more. And so I do think also that when Broad came back from the war, I think that when we pick up the series, it does occur, I guess, right after the war's end. By all implications, it has to be right, but also, it could have been right away. So I think Broad's first chapter may actually be set technically timeline wise, like at the very beginning of the book, maybe a little before.
Okay.
Not like not like it causes any problems or that he made an
No,
error,
right.
but like purposeful. Like, yeah, this thing happened, and now he's caught up to everybody else story wise.
I
Yeah.
like that though. I like the fact that Joe isn't afraid to mess around with the story a bit more. It's not like you're going to get confused between the two chapters.
Yeah, Joe's not one to have been. He doesn't really concern himself with timelines. We know that. So sometimes that's cool. Sometimes it makes things confusing. But here, I think it's not too big of a deal. It's like okay, that some time had passed, a few weeks. It's not a big deal. He's laying down on a bed with Liddy. He's just feeling morose about like what he did. He killed Marsh. What's the other guy's name? Seldom, right? Seldom,
Yeah.
and that other archer. And obviously, with that, they had to like run away from home, as opposed to we sold the house and the farm or the valley, whatever the fuck. So maybe because of that, he felt like he put his family in a tougher spot, right?
He definitely did. Yeah, he fucked up.
Oh, he absolutely did. And then I like how he, in his self hatred and things like that, Liddy's trying to say, listen, you're a good man, you're gonna get past this. Don't ever say that it would have been better if you never came back. Don't ever say that. And then he goes, I'll promise, no more violence. From now on, I'll stay out of trouble. And even then, she goes, Gunnar, you should only make promises you know you can keep.
Damn. I like this conversation a lot because there's something very interesting about Broad psychology here, where obviously he's sitting there feeling sorry for himself, justified or otherwise, whatever. He's sitting there feeling sorry for himself. Lydia's trying to comfort him. And she's also not only trying to comfort him, but like not to like just to make him feel better, but also like logically, like, listen, like, okay, whatever, the past, the past. I obviously love you. Your daughter loves you. Fucking move on. She's a little annoyed by it, but Broad doesn't hear fucking any of that. He really doesn't. He just is like he's just sitting there. Yeah, he's too sitting there. Yes, he's too warped into self-loathing. He doesn't even listen to her. And then whenever you think that he's making this promise to her, but he's not actually making the promise to her at all. He's just telling her that he won't do it anymore. And she's never said that he shouldn't be violent. She never even had a problem with it. She knows him. She knows what he's like. And she even admits that, like, oh, but in the little break here, he goes, oh, I promised Lydia I wouldn't get into trouble. Bro, come on, man. You fucking suck right now. Like, he doesn't go through this arc over the book where he's like, oh, I have to give into my nature. He never was even listening to Liddy, ever. That fucking bastard.
He's got some kind of selective deafness, doesn't he? He just just completely switches off when someone's talking about the problem. I need to stop hitting people.
Well, he's like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll make a promise. That'll work.
But and also, I think this is another thing that's very common in Joe's work here in the First Law is people lying to themselves. That's
Yes.
that's the
I don't even think
for,
he's lying to himself, though. I think
no,
he's a
he
little bit different than that.
no,
I think he,
I think he is lying to himself. He says it out loud, and he's feeling so shitty. He's like, "I'm gonna be better," but he, that's what you
that's
do. You
true.
lie to yourself.
Yeah. He does say
That's
I'm gonna be better and doesn't, but it's because he's not. Instead of actually like moving on, he's thinking that if he feels bad enough, maybe he'll get better, like on his own, just like automatically. That's
that, yeah, but also like when there are people like this, right, that are so caught up in their misery, their self-inflicted misery, that it's almost like they get to a point of despondency where they're like, well, I'm already this much of a shitty person, I'm just going to continue doing shitty things. But he says out loud that he's going to promise to be better, to kind of prove himself in Liddy's eyes, and that's what like his hope is.
That's true.
Like, you know.
yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, like you said, there's a little bit of a break after this conversation, and he's in a queue, I guess to a brewery or something, to work
Yeah.
in a brewery, not to drink in a brewery, because apparently he has a bit of a drinking problem, according to himself.
Shocking.
Shocking. Yeah, soldier on the front line, first in the ladders. Yeah, I'd imagine you might need a vice or two. And there are other people there, like older gentlemen or whatever, complaining about how there's always a queue. There's so many people looking for work, but there's not enough work. There's like an old man kind of doing the whole thing. It was like back in my day, right?
He's hitting him with the back in my day, yeah.
Yeah. And then some guy, tells this old man to shut the fuck up. And then Broad is about to like start to fight with, he comes to the defense of the old man, goes, because he goes, I'm going to stay out of it, but he goes, leave him be. So he doesn't stay out of it. I'm going to say something real quick though. I remember back when I read this, or maybe around the time when I first got on Reddit during when I got in, back into the first law.
Yeah.
This big bastard with the star-shaped scar on his cheek and a piece out of his ear. Were people like wondering who this was? Didn't people some people think this was Logan?
Jesus Christ.
'Cause
How
it's
old
not.
would he have to be?
He's got to be in his like fucking 70s now.
He's got to be in his 70s.
It's just the typical
That's not him.
lovely, wonderful first law community that goes, is that a nick in the air? It must be the same guy. Is that a same first name inside of a normal society? What? They must be the same person. It's the same shit.
Yeah, and here's the thing. This guy, he's scarred and everything. He has a star-shaped scar. That's it. And he's not old. Like, Broad doesn't describe him as old, so therefore, I think that would stick out.
Also,
yeah,
it's
so
not like Logan to tell someone to shut the fuck up.
It's really not. It's really not. So,
I mean, we could probably do that with every single character as reasons why they're not Logan, but specifically this guy, definitely not.
yeah.
The
So
star-shaped scar is a bit weird, though. It's very specific.
it is. So, did we ever see somebody with a star-shaped scar on the cheek? Big bastard.
I don't know.
Union soldier, maybe.
It's probably.
I've just typed in star-shaped scar on Google, and the first thing that comes up and says, "This is definitely Logan" on the first law subreddit.
Oh my god, are you serious, dog? No way. Send it to me. Let me see this.
Nah, that's insane. It's
no
not.
way.
No,
It's not Logan.
I may have misread that, but it's somebody that people speculating about exactly what we're speculating about.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, no, it's not him.
And there's somebody saying here as well that means that the lamb in Ricker's prediction must be Logan as well. It's like I joked about it the first episode.
The lamb killed the lion. And can you imagine that? Leo's like, yes, I'm in charge now. I am Lord. And then Logan's like, yeet. It's like,
Yeah.
end of your fucking life. He starts saying all his one-liners all at once.
Yeah, no.
Fucking brain rot first law. That's what that is.
Yeah, I don't think that's not Logan.
It's not. No, but
It's
it's
not
funny. It's funny that as soon as we
If
look
Joe
at
comes out and says that was Logan, I'm kneecapping Joe.
He would do it just to make people hate him.
Yeah, right. Probably would.
he would, yeah.
So basically, the guy turns around. He stops bothering the old guy, and Broad is like, he's so like hyped up to try to he was like, oh yeah, some violence. I could stop like lying to myself. He even says that at one point, but then the guy turns around after Broad threatens him, And I like how the old guy goes, "Thanks. There ain't many folk left willing to do the decent thing." And Broad's like, "Ugh, I don't even know what that is anymore." And gets to the end of the queue. There's this guy there named Malmer who seems like a decent man, but he's the one that's like in charge of assigning task or work duties.
Yeah.
And Broad, he tells him, "Hey, my name is Gunner Bull." It's like, Great, okay." And
I love that he picks his nickname as his last name.
that's so funny. Yeah, because we see that when what's this other guy named Sarby? Sarlby?
Dalby, yeah. He calls it, that's his name, Bull Broad. Like, that's
Yeah.
what they called him.
He's like, "Fucking hell, is that Sergeant Broad?"
My God.
It's
Bloody
like,
hell.
it's like that fucking gag in Family Guy. It's like P. Tier Griffin.
Here. You're right. It's just like that. That is hilarious. I never thought about that.
Yeah,
amazing.
so Sarlby comes out because Malmer's about to tell Broad there isn't like you don't have any experience in a brewery, so and everybody promises that they'll work hard. But he goes, "This is Bull Broad," Sarlby does. And he goes, "Remember Malmer? I told you all about him. Fought with him in Styria, behind him anyway, all this stuff." And he talks about how like what the tattoos that Broad has. It shows that he was like first up the ladder 5 times.
First to the Brito Oryak and all that.
Yeah, so then Malmer goes, "Okay, well then as long as Sarlby will vouch for him, he's hired." And he goes, "So, Bull or Broad?" And he's like, "Gunner Bull, please put that down." And tells him, that's where he tells him that they're in a cellar in Draw Street, and Sarlby goes, "Oh, we'll get you out of there." And then Sarlby and him, they talk about how times are shit, it's terrible, and that they're all a cog in the machine, man. It's all system, man.
It's all the system, man. We're stuck in the system, bro.
We live in a society, man.
He's right there.
And he talks about how
Ted Kaczynski over here.
what have it?
Got fucking Ted Kaczynski over here.
Oh no! Whoa, yeah. And then he talks about how Sarlby asked him if he's heard of the Breakers, and he goes, "Yeah, aren't they like traitors?" And he goes, Sarlby goes, "Only the fucking Inquisition say so. They don't just break machines, man. They break chains. Your chains and mine." And Broad is like, "I don't have any chains." And he goes, "The chains in your mind, man. Chains in your future." It's like Charles Manson right here. And then he goes, "The masters will be brought low, those who get fat on our sweat and our pain, the lords and the ladies, the kings and princes. No more rich old bastards telling us how it's gonna be. Every man with the say and how he's governed, every man with the vote." So Broad's like, "So no more king?" He goes, "Every man will be a king."
I like you acting like he says it angry, but he doesn't. You're so funny, dude.
I know. Broad's like, me no want no trouble. I know like this. And then he kind of tells Sarby tells him that it's like you're at your best when your fists were clenched, right? Like in terms of like he's made for times like this, for things like this. And Sarby goes, "You know how it is. You know that anything worth anything has to be fought for." And Broad feels like a tickle of excitement, what Sarlby's saying, but he's like, "But I fought enough. I made Lydia a promise, and this time, God damn it, I mean to keep it." And that's the end of that chapter. Boys, how do you rate it?
A little bit more of what we've already had from Broad. I know this is only chapter 2, but like it just shows like how bad the Union really is. It's a terrible fucking place to live in at this point. Really driving that home. There's people fucking queuing around the corner just to get a job, and it's not good. Like, but it's more of the same. But I like that it's developing a bit more. He's getting introduced to the Breakers and all that. So I reckon only a 4 this one.
Yeah. Harrison?
I like the conversation he has with Lady because I think it really frames like if you weren't sure how you were feeling about Broad, like we're like done with the setup chapters, and now we're actually getting to like get to the story. I feel like for all these recent chapters with everybody, And so for him, I do think I think a 4 as well for me, to be honest. I like that beginning thing, but otherwise it's just like him being broad. We'll get a lot of these mediocre broad chapters, and then randomly it'll be like an amazing broad chapter. So this is kind of a mediocre broad chapter.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty just meh, you know. Kind of like plaintive, I guess. I don't know. Just
Yeah.
I think I'm with George. I'm gonna give it a 4. It's pretty straightforward. I guess the notion of the breakers are being introduced to other people now, including Broad, and if for some reason Broad gets in with the breakers, well, we can only surmise from this early part of the book that might not turn out so well. So, yeah, I'll give it a 4 out of 9 fingers for Promises. Next, we move on to our next segment, which is our best meme of the week. Georgie boy, that's you. Take it away.
So this week we have Ashad Nafi, I think is how you say that. But this is one of the funniest things that I've seen put on House the Meat Maker in a long time. It's Meet Feetless Man, and it's obviously Shivers. And it's just a very long list of these things because apparently Shivers has never done anything of note, or never fought anyone of note and won. Which is funny. My favorite part of this is where it's like they call him 007, 0 significant named men beaten, 0 actual duels won, 7 mentions of his scary metal eye every chapter.
I love Shivers. We all love Shivers. But as you all know, I am actually like super against Shivers being like the most badass man in the entire North. Like he's scary, he's intimidating. But I think people have forgotten that this meme maker guy right here. What is his username again? Sorry.
Ashad Nafi.
Yeah, Ashad Nafi is totally right. Shivers is great, and it's not because he's the great fighter. He hasn't really done anything like that.
Yeah, no. Whispers because he hopes he won't need to follow through on his threats if nobody hears them. What's this one? Give me liberty, give me fire, give me Oxel, or I retire.
Yeah.
What the fuck is Oxel?
Oxel is one of the named men later in Trouble with Peace.
Oh,
and he's in a duel with Red Hat.
All right.
It's like the only person that we see Shivers fight and kill one-on-one is Oxel.
And he's like a 60-year-old man.
Yeah. There's extremely funny comments there. You can tell this guy is just he's looking for a fight here. Someone like people show up to defend him. Like someone says he was about to kill Friendly, but then Cass showed up. Shanks showed up, and he just replies, "Northern propaganda." There's some other funny comments here as well. So you forgot to mention his most toughest victory, which is defending his eggs against Captain Dinbix Ravenous in the Battle of the Meat House.
He's like, this other guy says, got fought to a standstill by a dude with 2 kitchen implements and an unhealthy obsession with numbers. Oh man,
that's a very, very good point and very funnily put. This is a good original, brilliant. So yeah, thank you very much, Ashad Nafi, for that. And it was a good old giggle.
It's funny as fuck. That was good. That was a good one. Appreciate that, homie. Appreciate that. So we'll move on to our third and final chapter read through, which is A Blow for the Common Man. And this one is, we return to our girl Vic, or Victorine Den Teufel. Her and the other breakers here at this point is Sibalt, Tallow, right? Tallow, Moore, and is it Greasy or Grice? I forget.
Grease.
They are going to the Hill Street Foundry, if we remember, where they were going to, we're gonna blow it up. If we remember that, because it's by the 3 farms, or what the 3 farms used to be. And is it 3 farms, right? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, and so they have like a bunch of barrels on this cart. They go to a gate. Grease is like, oh shit, there's still like some night watchmen there. And Vic is like, I already paid them off. Don't worry about it.
It's funny if she paid them off, huh?
Yeah, because apparently it's the easier thing to do, and it costs less than killing them. Because then try to kill them, then you might raise an alarm, right?
Mm.
And so the
I do
the
feel
night.
like that's a bit silly, though, isn't it? Because it's like, you know, they might think you're just there to like sneak in and do some minor mischief, but when there's an actual fucking explosion, they're gonna go, oh, we saw these guys go in, but we didn't say.
Well, I think that's the point, George. She did pay them off, but she paid them off with Inquisition money.
Of course.
Oh, right.
I
That's
do
right.
find it funny as well that two out of the five conspirators here actually work for the Inquisition.
Yeah, that's right. I forget. Sometimes I forget that we're just doing spoilers. My bad. Yeah, Vic's the snitch. um, and so they let him in, of course. It's just so funny how this turns out, right? They open the door to the main foundry, I guess, and then out of nowhere, the lights come on, right? They take people take the hoods off their lanterns, and they're like, "Halt in the name of His Majesty!" And everyone's like, "Oh fuck!" And then
I like
more,
too, but the monologue in her head I think is really good because it's
yeah,
not you're meant to think, especially the first time you read it, obviously, that she's getting anxious and like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do this, or they're all But once you have your moment, right?
right,
Um, but that's not really what she's saying. She's talking to herself like maybe she could have done things differently to get them in the position they're in. Maybe they all don't have to die. Maybe they can go back. But once they're set up, that's why she kept asking Sybil if that's are they sure that this is the best thing to do. So
hmm
I think that that's really well done too, because you think that she's talking about the mission. She's not. She's actually talking about her own mission.
hmm yeah, and she does a great job, right? Of this, or Joe does, I guess you could say, but she does a great job of keeping it without like tipping it off that it's her, right?
Yeah.
Moore gets peppered with fucking crossbolts. Just bam. Tallow's shrieking. Grease is like, "Come on, you bastards," or whatever. And Vic is already running. She grabs Sybil and she starts dragging him into the foundry. And they're weaving through the engines and everything. And they crouch behind something. And Sybil goes, "Oh, they were waiting. They knew we were coming." And Vic is like, "Oh, who fucking told them?" And
We're
he
all
looks,
looking for this guy.
yeah. And Vic is looking at him, and there's something strange about his face, and now he looked like a load had been lifted, and she saw that he had a dagger in his hand, and she goes, "Whoa, what the? You don't think it was me?" And he goes, "No, but it doesn't matter. You said it yourself. Once they get you, everyone talks. Sorry to leave you in the lurch like this." And she's like, "What are you saying?" And her voice didn't sound calm anymore, so she's starting to like freak out. She's like, What are you doing?" And he smiles and he says, "Wish I met you sooner. Things might have been different, but time comes, you have to stand up." And then he just rams the dagger in his own neck. And she's like, "What the fuck? No, 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 no." And she's trying to like, I guess in that moment, there's nothing you could do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing I like about this too is like even though we know what's going on with her,
We
like the
do.
first time you read it, yeah, sure. The first time you read it, you're like, oh, she's sad that he died. And then you look back on this moment and you're like, oh, she wasn't sad he died. She just was like, oh, my prisoner. But really, she was sad that she died. It's like that curve effect, It's like the first time you read it, man, she's sad that he died. And then the last
She would
2%.
right. She would have rather that they gotten like captured, and then hopefully he would have just been like
Find a way
imprisoned
out.
or
Yeah, yeah,
something,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Instead, and I think I mean, you guys. I don't know what you guys think. Yes, maybe he realized. I think there's a simultaneous. It's meant to be ambiguous, but he has this weight that's lifted off of him because. I think it's both. I think he realized that it must have been her, and that relief of just being like, okay, well, like, and then the release of knowing that he's about to die. Like he already accepted it.
Yeah,
I don't
and
know.
because from her perspective, as she's trying to like take care of him, like put pressure on his neck and whatever, he's spluttering, blood from his mouth and his nose, and maybe he was trying to give her some message: regret or forgiveness or hope or blame. No way of knowing. So I think that might be to what your point is, Harrison.
Yeah.
And he dies, and obviously Vic can hear that Grease is getting black bagged, and she's just sitting with her back against the wall or an iron still. I'm sorry, and that's where she was when the practicals found her. And that's a very short chapter. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the end of that chapter. How would you rate this, boys? Is there stuff that you really want to kind of like dive into here?
Not really. I mean, it's very very short. This, and they just get
It's-
caught, and
And
we
it's
can't
straightforward.
really talk about the twist for which is in the next chapter. So.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we've literally just been introduced to these characters, and now they're dead. So there we go.
Yeah, poor
I
Sybil.
only give this one a 3.
Would you say, George?
I said I'm going to give this one a 3.
You're giving this a 3? Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, a mission gone awry in like 4 pages. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think I'll give it a good. I feel bad for Sybil.
I do.
I'll give it a 3 and a knuckle. I'll give it a 3 and a knuckle. There's not much. There's not really like anything else we can really dive into here, right? I mean, the notion is like, okay, Vic paid off the Night Watchman because obviously, as an agent of the Crown and everything, she's not gonna, assist in the killing of the king's own, not subjects, I guess in this case, like employees, whatever.
Yeah.
And the idea that, yeah, because I mean, she left Moore and Grease and even Tallow kind of like, let's hope that they make it out, but Moore got fucking murdered. Her hope of dragging Sybil away would have been like, yeah, let's like I can make sure he makes it out.
Yeah.
She didn't count on him being like taking what she said to heart about the whole like once they get you, everyone talks. So he's like, well, fuck that, I'm out. Harrison, you have anything you want to add to this?
Not really. I mean, I think I'm gonna give it a 3 as well. Like it is very short. It's very intense. It's good play on what's going on. It's definitely when you very first read it's unexpected because it's like so soon. Like one chapter in, now you're here and like 3 of them are dead. You're like it's just done. But I will say that like this conflict that she goes through, like Vic is such a great character because she has this effect on the book where everything she goes through, each time you read it, there's just other things to notice or mention. So I really like that aspect of her character. But beyond that, I don't think it's a super strong chapter other than the duality of Sybil being, him getting murdered while also like probably knowing that it was her and it just being heartbroken and him being like, oh, there really is nothing to live for. It's so different.
Yeah. So we'll move on to our final segment, which is our character spot. Boys, who are we going to highlight? Who will we shine the spotlight on?
You want to go, Harrison?
We are doing Sybil. We just
Sybil.
talked about it a little bit, but for me, Sybil is like he's very very tragic character, of course, but he's also I don't know. I feel like he seems like a really good person who just wants to do the right thing, and he's obviously made a lot. I think he's pretty emotionally intelligent. He's made a lot of peace in his own mind before he even takes actions. He's not a very impulsive person, and I think that's very unique. That's what makes it tragic that he dies.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, he's filled with hopes and dreams, and he's not bloodthirsty like a lot of like revolutionaries tend to be. He's very it almost seems sad about like having to this has to happen in the first place.
Yeah.
Like you said, seems like
he'd rather just be curled up with Vic, reading the life and adventures of Dab Sweeney.
Dab Sweeney.
Dab Sweet. I don't know why I said Sweeney. Sorry.
That's funny on so many levels, man.
My brain just went. Burr.
Oh, Deb Sweeney. We barely knew he.
It's been a long week, my boys. I'm so sorry.
No, it's funny. It's perfect.
I hope that doesn't get clipped or something. Jesus. Yeah, man. I don't know. Sybil, he's a tragic character. I mean, maybe I wish we would have got like another chapter or two with him in it. So we really kind of like really identify with the character. We really empathize and make that connection. This was more like we just met him. Oh, and we hardly knew ye. like that kind of thing. It's just
Yeah.
quick. And because the last Vic chapter, the only Vic chapter before this, right, it was like a few episodes ago. It wasn't like
Yeah.
just recent, right? So not enough to really maintain that connection. I don't,
That's
what I
fair.
was doing. So Sybolt, a man that fought for the cause but believed in Vic. Oh,
Also, can you like how hard is this fucking jam a knife into your own neck? Like,
Jesus Christ! I don't even want to think about that. Of course, George talks about that shit.
What a badass he is.
Like that. This is better than being tortured. Fuck it.
Gorse would never do something like that.
Yeah, Gorse ain't no bitch.
Gorse is a bitch, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. He wouldn't. No, he thinks it's more manly to fucking fight on a dock until he gets filled with arrows. So much more manly.
Oh God! Don't even get me started on that.
It's actually perfect for him. I don't know why you don't think so. It's perfect.
We'll talk about that in 3 books' time.
Yeah, we'll get there.
I'm
We'll talk to you, folks. That's just a sneak peek to what we're going to talk about in a year and a half, maybe longer, 2 years.
No, I don't think it's gonna take that long. Jesus, maybe, well, maybe won't, but just whatever. Wisdom of crowds. I will give it an open mind. I promise, Harrison. I will.
Thanks, buddy.
I'm just going off my memory. Sorry. Yeah. So that's the spotlight on poor Sybolt, the innocent man, the innocent saboteur, the saboteur that never was. That's our show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. As you know, this is a passion project for the three of us, and your support means oh so much.
Join us next week as we cover Knowing the Arrow, Biding Time, Wasting Time, and The Bigger They Are.
And make sure you follow us on all of our social media or shoot us an email at circletheworldpodcast@gmail.com.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts from. And please make sure to rate and review and comment. Thank you all again for listening.
Then, who pulls the strings?